Welcome to episode 11 of the Hockey Dummies podcast. Pat, how you doing?
I'm fucking awesome today.
What are you sipping on over there?
Oh, it's some, I don't even want to say.
I want you to say. You got some flavored beer?
Yeah, my girlfriend brought home these like flavored beers.
Right.
This one's coconut cream pie.
Ugh.
And it legit tastes like coconut cream pie.
I can smell it from here. It's awful. Anywho, this week we'll be chatting about
You and your fucking anywho.
each team's top fantasy prospect in the Atlantic Division. We'll be chatting with Mitch Scott of Starting Lineup Uniforms and Apparel to find out how his Movember initiative went, and our typical fantasy banter with Pick 'em up.
Pick them up.
And who's been pounding
Pick
on
up
Buzz's
William
girlfriend.
Nylander.
Yeah, pick 'em up. Pick 'em up. Don't pick up Buzz's girlfriend.
No, William
But
Nylander.
first, let's get into our NHL headlines for the week. William Nylander.
Love it.
6.9 for 6 years. You love this deal.
Well, you know what? The dollar amount was a tad higher than I wanted.
Yeah, we kind of felt like it was going to be around that, though.
Well, yeah. I mean, they're saying, basically they met in the middle. I think he's closer to, 6.4,
Right.
maybe per year. But you never know. I mean, like 2 years from now, that could be an absolute steal of a contract.
I know. Well,
right?
that's what we're hoping for, and I think that's kind of what the Leafs are hoping for. And man, to get him back with this powerhouse,
It's disgusting.
like now for me, like after he gets in a couple games, you're gonna have Kadri move to that second power play unit, and you're gonna have Willie Nylander in the high slot.
No.
Like that's disgusting, man.
Right now, Kadri's not. He's just kind of there. He's not even doing it. He's just. I don't know what he's doing. He's just taking up space or what.
But he
fucking sucks this year.
He doesn't suck.
He should get traded.
No, he shouldn't.
He's the trade bait for a fucking D-man.
He should not be traded.
Okay.
No, he's
Traded.
good. And Austin Matthews is back. In his first game back against the Sharks, he was absolutely dominant with 2 goals, 3 points, 5 shots, and 64% in the dot.
I called those first 3 power plays on Twitter.
And he got another goal tonight.
I was going to call that one, but I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to fucking jinx it. And then they scored anyway.
We're doing the pod on Saturday night, Hockey Night in Canada. Leafs Wild. It's currently 2-1 Leafs. And we're hoping to keep this going. And as we'll talk a little bit more about Devin Dubnyk, we're hoping that he continues on his... Devin has had a few nights out with Buzz's girlfriend. And,
I think Devin's back with the Oiler.
Yeah,
back in the Oiler days right now.
Yeah, so we need him to keep doing what he's been doing the last week. And he's been doing it so far this game. So keep it up, Devin. There was a small deal between the Leafs and the Flames. Did you see this one?
Yep, I did.
What'd you think?
I thought, I figured Nielsen was never, ever, ever going to make it anyway.
No, I don't think so.
Why not? Take a flyer on Klimchuk. Like, what do you.
Yeah, the deal was 1-for-1. Morgan Klimchuk, a former first-rounder for Andrew Nielsen from the Leafs. One of the things that I kind of laughed about this whole situation was Chris Wassel, the fantasy doctor, kept going on about how Stockton's defense is absolutely atrocious.
Right.
So, clearly they needed to get some more defensemen into the mix. And, Sam Gagner just got... Marner's coming down, and he goes around the net, throws it out front.
Oh, penalty. Fuck. No penalty.
Chris was saying that Stockton's D was awful, and with Sam Gagner getting called back up to Vancouver, we kind of had an open spot up front, so Morgan Klimchuk can kind of fill that role.
Yeah.
So we'll see how it goes, but yeah,
I thought he was actually supposed to be good.
I thought he was too. I remember they compared him a lot to Jordan Eberle in his draft year. I remember that
What's Eberle doing right now?
Well, he's in the show.
No, I know.
He's in the show.
If you could get if he turned out to be half an Eberle, I'd be happy with that.
Sure.
So.
No, for sure. And there was also some rumors going around. I don't know if you heard anything about this or you can comment on it, but there are rumors swirling that Jimmy Howard might be on his way to St. Louis.
I heard that, and I was kind of like, why?
Well,
I understand the goaltending over there is a fucking disaster right now, but why would you target Jimmy Howard?
Who have we been telling people to pack up for like the last month?
I don't know. I don't remember. There's
Almost
been so
swore.
many.
Almost swore.
I know. That's
Jimmy
going to be my
Howard,
goal
man.
now, to get you to fucking swear.
Yeah. Jimmy Howard. He's been having a great year, and he's been playing on
But he should be owned already, so I don't even know if he constitutes as a pick 'em up.
Well, he's been lacking.
Pick him up if he's available.
Well, yeah, pick him up if he's available, but that's not what I'm talking about here. What I'm talking about here is that he could be going to the St. Louis Blues, and you were saying, why would the Blues want him? And it's because he's been doing so well this year.
No, I understand that, but the Blues are so shitty. Why bother?
Well, because I'm pretty sure that the management group doesn't expect to be losing so bad this year.
Yeah,
right?
I know. And you know what the problem is? It's fucking Ryan O'Reilly. We talked about this last week.
Yeah,
the guy's a cancer.
Yeah,
he ruins teams.
Get him out of here.
Jesus, great fantasy guy, but Jesus, come on.
We got Scott
Don't pick him
Darling put on waivers.
Yeah,
And he cleared.
yeah. Kathy called it.
Kathy called it.
Well, she didn't say Darling on waivers, but she did say.
What she said was that McElhaney would be the man
Exactly.
in Carolina. And this is just one step closer to making her prediction.
There's no way that Mrazek is going to take over for McElhaney. So McElhaney is the man. 100% guaranteed.
McElhaney, the man. And the Canes also waived the 23-year-old winger, Valentin Zoykov, and he was claimed by the Oilers.
Zoykov?
Isn't it Zoykov?
It's just Zikov.
Zikov?
It's ZY.
Well, he's a former second rounder in 2013, and he's got 3 assists in 13 games this year. So he looks to be a complete offensive juggernaut for the Oil.
Pretty sure I had him in our pool in the very first year.
Right.
Because I remember the guy. I traded him to Dallas, and I think he sat there for.
I think Pirate Paul has him right now.
Yeah, probably because he was probably on waivers.
Also on waivers was Calvin Pickard, who was claimed by the Arizona Coyotes.
There's a shocker. He was a dumpster fire in Philly.
Dink fire. An absolute dink
His
fire.
dink was on fire.
But at the same time, the Arizona Coyotes goaltending has been a bit of a dink fire too. Like Rantna has been hurt.
Rantna's fucking killing me this year.
Yeah, he's
guy.
He's went out a couple times with Buzz's girlfriend.
Couple?
Yeah, he went out pretty much steady. He's steady.
He's
with
been
Buzz's
like on a week, off a
girlfriend
week,
this
on a week, off a week.
Well, he's been on steady because he's down in the wheelhouse of Buzz's flame there. But also, Darcy Kemper is also hurt. So, they have Aiden Hill come up.
The fucker gets a shutout.
He got a shutout, and Nord's had him on his bench. I got a text.
Way to go, Nords.
Yeah, I got a text
Twat
from
waffle.
him the following day saying how, I'm not allowed to say what he said because I'm not swearing.
So write it down and I'll say it.
Yeah. It starts with an F.
Text it to me.
Yeah. But I don't think it's a bad thing for them to pick up Calvin Pickard. I think it was a smart move.
It's a free guy. He didn't cost you anything. You put in a waiver claim. Way you go.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
And he's shown that he can actually be a good goalie.
Yeah. No.
I mean, he's. We were both trying to get him at one point in our pool, and I'm not gonna now.
No.
But
you're stuck with him, Scouts.
No, Scouts traded him.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, remember we traded him to I don't remember.
No, a
Vegas.
good one.
Lenny, I think.
Well, let's stay on the rails here. We got the Buffalo Sabres went on a 10-game heater.
Fucking hate the Sabres.
And that vaulted them up into.
I think you said vaulted last week.
I
too.
know. I even wrote it as vaulted, but I said vaulted. But yeah, they're tied for first with the Lightning right now. But if the Leafs win here tonight, they'll be in first. So they're flip flopping. But
they play one more game than us.
Right.
So.
But 1, 2, 3 are all from the Atlantic Division in the entire NHL. And that's what I don't like about this playoff format, is that we work our ass off. Oh, shoot. We work our butts off.
No, ass is technically not a swear because
awesome.
I
love that.
That's not even that bad.
I
like
love
you
that
just,
you're the one in
I'm
charge
the swear connoisseur.
Yeah, exactly. All right, but
I gotta get a buzzer.
Yeah. Well, you work hard all year. You come third in the NHL, and your prize in the playoffs is to play the second place team.
Yeah, it's brutal.
It's brutal, man. Like, go back to 1 through 8.
Yeah, that's what it
it
should be.
So I don't know. We'll see. But there's there's no shame from the NHL in going back and rejigging it. There's no shame in saying,
oh yeah,
I'm
this
wrong.
didn't work. Let's do it this way instead because it's 100 times better.
Exactly.
Fuck.
And it looks like Mikko Koskinen has taken over the number 1 starting position in Edmonton. What are your thoughts on that?
Sorry, they almost scored on us. Yeah, Talbot's been a fucking dink fire.
Yeah, big time dink fire.
Jeez, I'm glad I got rid of him in the pool. I had him for this one, basically his career year,
right?
And I sold high.
You did sell high,
and then I just went, see ya.
Well, in Koskinen this year, he's sitting with a 6-2-1 record, and 2 of those wins are shutouts. And he has a season goals against average of 2.29.
And that's extremely impressive on a shitty Oilers team.
And a save percentage of .923. And Talbot has gone 5-9-1 with a goals against average of 339 and an .889 save percentage.
Wow.
Yeah, so I went over to I'm in this other Yahoo league, and I went and packed him up. And he's starting tonight. So
he's losing 9-0.
Shoot. Let's move over to the Dylan Strome watch. You were very strong on that.
The Hawks won the trade.
Hawks won the trade.
Yep.
So Strome did get a goal in his
goal and assist
in his opener. Yeah, he did. He got a goal and assist in their 8-3 loss. And
but he wasn't a minus, I don't think.
But on his second game, he was a -4 with 0 points. Oh, what happened?
2-2.
Who's that? Greenway?
I don't know, but Dermott looks like he fucked up because they put the camera on him.
Yep, Greenway
Fuck
scored.
you, Greenway.
Tied it up 2-2.
Jack off.
Midway through the second.
Arr.
But moving back over to the trade here, yeah, Strome was a -4 in his next game.
Was he?
Yeah,
Shit.
and his
I didn't see that one.
yeah, and his they ended up losing that one 6-5 as well. So
well, what do they do? Are they giving him like top line minutes and playing against the top lines now? Is that what they're doing?
He had some bigger minutes in his first game, and in his second game, his minutes dropped. But for the Yotes, Nick Schmaltz, he had a goal and 2 wins in his first 2 games with the Yotes.
He got 2 wins. Was he playing? Was he in net?
The team. The team had 2 wins with him, so that's a little bit better.
2-0 with Schmaltz.
Yeah, that's a little bit better for the Yotes right now. Alex Ovechkin just passed Joe Sakic to be placed 15th in the all-time goal leaders list.
Jesus.
That's amazing. And Ovi passed Sakic in 350 less games played.
Oh, not bad.
Yeah, so I started kind of doing a little bit digging here because I thought this stuff was kind of cool. And Ovi needs 14 more goals to pass Dave Andrechuk to be 14th, and he needs 30 more to pass Shanny for 13th. And let's keep in mind here between these guys, those guys have played between 500 and 600 more games than Ovi, and he only needs 14 and 30 more goals. Yeah.
Wow.
So right now, Ovi has averaged 6.608 goals per game in his career, and Gretzky averaged .601.
Yeah, but Gretzky was a playmaker.
Still,
how many assists does Ovi have?
The great one, the great one. But
the great 8 versus the great 1.
Exactly.
But the great 1 comes before the great 8.
But even better than both of those guys
would be
Mike
Pats
Bossy.
if he played. Oh,
Mike Bossy, Mario Lemieux. So Bossy had a .76 goals per game in his career, and Lemieux had a .75 goals per game.
But they had shorter careers.
They had shorter careers, but they scored in bunches.
Right.
So, but I just thought that was kind of cool. And we talked about Connor McDavid hitting the 100-game goal mark. Last pod, and Patrick Laine just hit his 100-goal mark.
Because he scored like 7 goals in one fucking game.
Yeah. Well, he's gotten 100 goals in 179 games. Okay. Matthews has 86 goals in 156 games. So right now, he's got 23 more games, Matthews, to get 14 more goals. Do you think he can do that?
Yeah, and he'll do it in 14 games. With the pace he's on right now,
Well,
13
that
13 and 13.
That would be the pace there. But in terms of points per game, right now, Matthews is at .97 points per game, and Laine's at .88.
Yeah, suck it, Laine.
Well, Well, there's always hey, maybe you should have taken line A first overall.
No,
It's
there was
no
no
way.
way.
No way.
No.
All right, buddy. Well, let's get off the old NHL headlines for the week and get into a little pick 'em up.
Pick 'em up. Pick 'em up right now.
Pick 'em up.
Pick 'em up.
Pick 'em.
Pick 'em up.
Boys, look, there's some people want to ride too. Pick 'em up.
Hey, pick 'em up.
Pick 'em up right now.
Let's get right into the old pick 'em up for the goalies. The Oilers' number 110, Mikko Koskinen.
Miku?
Pick 'em up.
Oh.
Pick 'em up. He's only owned in 56% of Fantrack leagues. I picked him up off waivers myself. I was saying in my Yahoo pool. Koskinen got 2 wins in both of his starts this week. He had a 0.98 goals against average and a 967 save percentage with a shutout to boot.
He should probably just retire right now.
Pick him up.
Because numbers like that for the Oilers are incredible.
Pick him up right now.
Pick 'em up. Go pick 'em up.
We got Cal, the mailman.
Mailman's back.
The mailman's back.
Pick him up!
And you know what? He's actually been dropping a little bit. I think because Quick has come back.
Yeah,
but
for sure.
still, I'm telling you guys to pick him up only because he's still going to be the backup and he's still going to get a spot start. So if you're in a deep league, pick him up.
Yeah, and Campbell's probably going to be out for a bit still too because he fucked up his knee, right?
And he's poo. And he but,
he was better than Quick before he went down.
Yeah. Well, the mailman, he picked up 2 wins this week in both of his starts. He had a 2.03 goals against average and a 938 save percentage. And you should pick him up. You should just go ahead and pick him up right now.
Waste that waiver claim. Pick him up.
Curtis, the Savior, McElhaney.
Savior.
Pick 'em up.
Not only has Darling gone bye-bye, and Kathy, the Psychic, has predicted him to be the number 1 goalie in Carolina. But he picked up, he's only owned in 45% of leagues. He picked up a win this week, and he had a goals against average of 1.48 and a 962 save percentage.
I was going to say a 6 save percentage?
So
that would suck.
He played in 2 games. He only got the 1 win, but look at his numbers.
Yeah, he's dirty.
Clearly he played good in that other game.
Trade him for Sparks.
Trade him for
Sparks right now. Pick him up.
And to me, he's going to get the majority of the starts for the rest of the year.
I think he should.
Yeah, pick him up and try to trade for him like I have with Jets. Let's move over to the defense here. We got Eric Johnson.
Pick 'em
He's
up.
only owned in 52% of leagues.
How's he only owning 50? What the fuck is wrong with people?
And he's dropping. Right now,
Jesus.
his percentage is dropping in leagues. He was ranked the 3rd best defenseman in all of fantasy hockey this past week. He had a goal and an assist. He was a +3. He had 15 penalty minutes. He had 9 shots, 6 hits, 5 blocks, and 20 minutes of ice.
So why is he only 52%? Is it his salary?
It could be if you're in cap leagues.
Fucking get your shit together.
Pick him up. Pick him. Derek Forberg.
Pick 'em up.
Only owned in 10% of
Derek
leagues.
Furberger. 5 push-ups.
Furberger?
Sure.
No, get out of here. Get out of here.
Okay.
He was ranked the 4th best defenseman in all of fantasy hockey last week. He notched 2 apples, 13 shots, 12 hits, 7 blocks. He was a +2 in 22 minutes of ice. Pick him up. Pick him. Derek.
Oh, fuck.
Josh Manson, my boy.
Pick 'em up.
He's only owned in 48% of leagues. And he had 2 goals, which he's not really known for a goal scorer. So that's always great. I like him for the dirty stats. But he was also a +2, 6 PIMs, 10 hits, 9 blocks, and 23 minutes of ice.
Pick him up.
Pick him up! What are you guys doing? Pick him up!
48%.
Mikhail Backlund.
Pick 'em
of
up!
The Calgary Flames. He's only owned in 39% of leagues.
Holy cow, that's low.
And he was the 19th best skater in all of fantasy hockey this past week. He had 2 goals, 5 points. He was a +5. He had 8 shots, a shorty, and 19 minutes of ice. That is solid work for Mikhail Backlund. Carl Soderberg.
Pick 'em up.
Ranked 26th best skater in all fantasy hockey this past week. He's only owned in 34% of leagues, so you can Pick him
You
up.
should be able to pick him up.
He had a goal, 2 assists, 5 shots, 6 hits in his 16 minutes of ice. Pick him up.
Pick him up right now.
Johan Larsson.
Pick him
only
up!
owned in 3% of fan
Okay, no one's picking up fucking Johan Larsson.
He was the 28th
I don't even care
best
what you say now. Nobody's picking him
skater
up.
in fantasy hockey this week. Larsson contributed with 8 PIMs, 11 shots, and 8 hits over his 16 minutes of ice. Pick him up.
Don't pick him up. He's fucking brutal.
3% of leagues. Well,
Fuck. Jesus.
he is out there, and if you need these dirty stats, pick him up.
If you need a streaming option and you suck and you don't care about your team, pick him up. But no, there's one guy that you should pick up that we haven't talked about.
Who?
Gavin Bayruther.
Pick him up!
Bayruther.
Dallas Stars. Fucking stud. Defense. 4 points so far in 9 games. Getting well over 20 minutes of ice.
That's your boy.
That is my boy. He's probably one of the longest serving members on my team.
Really?
Which is
So he's
for
been
me, that's
So he's been there for like a month?
A couple months, yeah, no.
Trader
I think I've had him
Pats.
for like a couple years because I would keep following up with him, looking. I'm like, do I drop this guy? Do I need this? And I'm like, no, I'm gonna keep him. And it's paying off.
Well, now that we've talked about some of those players, you should
Pick up.
Now, let's get into a couple of the players that went out on a date with Buzz's lady. And Buzz, your girlfriend.
And she swallows.
Buzz, your girlfriend. Woof.
Woof. Let's get into some of these woof goalies for the week. Lo and behold, Antti Rantna.
Woof.
Woof. The Yotes have...
He's been hurt. Fuck off.
Well, the Yotes starter came back off injury this week and failed to pick up a win in both of his starts, posting a 6.42 goals against average
Why does this sound the same as last?
and an
3-2
804 save
Leafs.
percentage.
3-2 Leafs.
Who got it? Is that Hyman?
I think it hit Hyman in the fucking ass or something.
Look at that schnoz.
From Riley. Pretty sure it was from Riley and Marner.
His
Again.
schnoz has an illegal curve, eh?
Seriously.
It is a...
He looks like a bald eagle.
and a wind up and... Okay, we can't...
Marner to
Dipsy Doodles
the
throws it on the net.
and
High
Hyman
stick.
scores.
And high
That's
stick.
not high stick. Fuck off.
They're going to review.
Fucking Marner's incredible.
All right,
Everything
well,
he does turns into a goal.
He is pretty incredible.
No, I hit him in the hand. That counts. Wasn't directed in. Yeah,
Well-
see, they're saying hand.
Let's keep on the rails here and get back into Buzz's girlfriend's bed and talk
Get
about
back. I don't want to go to her bed.
Corey Crawford.
Woof.
He was in her bed this week, and he had 0 wins while getting a BJ from Buzz's girlfriend. And he
Oh, you
had
can
a
say
goals
BJ.
against-
BJ's okay.
BJ's okay,
Yeah,
right?
it's fine. Whatever.
He had a goals against average of 744.
Holy crap!
Yeah, and a save percentage of 810.
Did he get yanked in both games?
He did by Buzz's girlfriend. Yeah, she really gave it to him.
Jesus.
So yeah, he had a bit of a woof week. And our boy here, who just Zach the Nose Hyman, just they counted the goal. It's 3-2 Leafs.
Oh, wait, no, I think it's under review.
Oh.
Yep, under review.
What's that?
And
What
they
does that
called
say?
it. He said, "It's a goal."
All right.
Yeah,
Yeah, look at
attaboy,
that.
Zach.
And you can't even
He's
see
like,
his
"Man, whatever."
smile because his nose covers.
Why are you making fun
I
of
don't
Zach?
know.
He's a
I
fucking
know. I
stud.
actually really like Zach Hyman.
He's a stud.
Yeah, he is a stud. Love you, Zach.
You tell him.
But
Tell him in your nice
Devin
soft voice.
Dubnyk,
Woof.
he had a bit of a time with.
He's having a bit of a time right now.
Oh, I know. He definitely didn't do the Wild any favors this week or
flavors.
this game.
Or flavors.
For flavors. 0 wins in his last 2 games this week. He had a goals against average of 414 and an 814 save percentage. So that's
Beautiful numbers.
I know. So continue to keep it up, Devin. We appreciate it. 3-2, 5 minutes left to go in the second. We love it. Moving over to the defenseman, we got the ghost again, Shane Gostisbehere.
Woof.
I have him in my Yahoo pool, and he's a big no thank you. Like, I'm actually just like, because of the way that how stacked the waiver wire is, I think I might just drop him.
Yeah, you'll probably sit there.
And he probably will sit there. This week he had no points.
Jesus. Almost 4-2.
He had no points. He was a -3. He had no hits, and he had 20 minutes of ice.
Oh.
That's what he did. He was like down in like the 500s, like the 500th and something best player in fantasy hockey this week. Like,
There was some dink on Twitter saying trade Nylander to Philly for Gostisbehere and Wayne Simmons.
right.
And I said, I was like, well, how does that fix anything to do with the cap? Simmons is going to get a raise. Gostisbehere's 4.5. So you're already going to be spending an extra 4 and change.
That'd be pretty amazing though for this year. that would
this
be
year,
pretty sick.
whatever, fine. But
well, and I actually saw that you wrote that we don't really need a defenseman like him. And
well,
you're
no,
right,
we don't.
We already have them.
Yeah, we have a bunch of offensive-minded defensemen. So,
Well,
and the only guy who plays D is Ozhiganov.
Here's a defenseman I wouldn't mind having, but he had a bit of a woof week, a bit of a woozy week at that. Is Big Buff.
Well, he was concussed.
Yeah, well, he had a woozy week.
Yeah, they kind of dropped the ball on that one.
Oh,
He shouldn't have come back in that game.
No, he shouldn't have. He shouldn't
Fucking
have.
Jesus.
But in the 2 games that he played, he had 1 apple. He was a -1, and he had 3 hits.
I'm surprised he even had 3 hits.
Yeah, and usually he just brings a lot more to the table than that. So
Yeah.
like, and his average of ice was still 21 minutes.
That's nuts.
But yeah, so the Big Buff, he's hopefully gets better and can come back and contribute a little bit more for his Jets. And another guy that we were just watching on Hockey Night Canada, Cherry was going off about him, and he's having a great year. He just kind of had a bit of a woof week. Was Matt Dumba? He was a -3, and he had 1 assist and 2 blocks in his 24 minutes of ice over his couple of games this week. Just not good enough in the.
I'll take him on my team in a second.
Oh yeah, no, for sure, I would too. But the Wild are on a bit of a slump here, and the Leafs aren't doing them any favors right now either because we're kicking their butt.
I wouldn't say that exactly, but
Well, we're gonna do a speaking of the Ghost, we're gonna do a little 3-for-1 action here on the Woof forwards for the week. It was almost as if Buzz's girlfriend spent the weekend in Philadelphia. Because we have a trio of Flyers who just went to Pound Town on Buzz's girlfriend.
wow.
And that
Sounds
is,
like the Flyers back when Mike Richards and Jeff Carter were there.
Right.
Joffrey Lupul.
Yeah.
That could have been a 3-on-1 right there.
Right. But now it's James Van Rimsjob, Jakub Voracek, and Travis Konechny.
Oh, Jesus.
All 3 of them being 3 of the worst skaters in fantasy hockey this week.
Wow.
Looking at Van Riemsdyk's points here, he has 0 points. He was a -1 with no hits, no blocks, 17 minutes of ice.
Okay, we'll cut him some slack. He just came back off the injured reserve.
You have such a
I'm just saying.
JVR boner.
Leave him alone. Come on, he was a Leaf for 5 years. Give me a break.
Yeah, come Voracek. Kadri's
Voracek
a Leaf
can
right
blow me.
now. Why?
Kadri's an asshole.
Why? Yeah. Okay.
He's playing like shit. I think he's got the worst
Voracek.
plus-minus on the team.
He's actually going down in Fantrack leagues. Like, people are getting rid of this guy. He's down.
Voracek, really?
He's down 1.9% in all Fantrack leagues.
Jeez.
He was a -3 this week. He had 1 block, 1 hit. No points. Woof.
Well, at least he hit somebody.
Travis Konechny, he had a goal, but he was a -3 with 0 hits and 1 block in 60 minutes of ice. So the Flyers we're just going to give the Flyers a woof this week.
The Flyers suck.
And it's
Holy
funny,
crap.
And the Flyers are the last place team in the East, and Ron Hextall was quoted saying that he was shocked that he was let go.
He was fired by Andreas Johnson.
Yeah, Janssen got him fired. But, look, man, the Flyers are supposed to be a good team. They're in last place in the East. That's not good enough. You should,
And because their goaltending fucking sucks.
And their goaltending stinks. Yeah, 100%. All of these players that went out with Buzz's girlfriend this week are all players that their NHL teams and the fantasy owners count on.
Did Buzz's girlfriend roofie them? Is that what happened?
I guess. I don't know. She went to Philly. Okay. She went down on Broad Street.
Had a Philly cheesesteak.
She pulled the cheesesteak out of one of her folds with roofie in it.
Jesus.
And just proceeded to feed these guys the roofie steak.
Man.
But, hey, these are the guys that are going to help you either win or lose in the NHL or fantasy hockey. So they got to be better. They got to stay away from Buzz's girlfriend. So let's... I need a little positivity after talking about these donkeys. So why don't we dip over and chat with our boy Mitch Scott from Starting Lineup, Uniform and Apparel. See how the Movember initiative went. But first... which I'm pretty excited about, we need to announce our retweet winner.
Right. For the winner of the jersey.
Hockey Dummies 69er jersey. Like, these Movember jerseys are pretty awesome. And so what we did was everybody that sent in a retweet, we put your name into a draw, and we pulled the name out of the hat. And our big winner, drum roll please, is the Doug Father at Sell For You More.
Sorry, Seth, you didn't win, bud.
Yeah. Hey, well, we put everybody's in. The Doug Father's the man, so we're gonna reach out to you on Twitter and find out a way to get you your very own Movember Hockey Dummies 69er hockey jersey. So we just want to say thank you to everybody who retweeted and participated in this fun little event. It was all to raise awareness for mental health and suicide prevention. So anything that you can do along those lines, we thank you very much. So a big shout out to the Doug Father at Sell For You More, and we will be in touch soon. So let's kick it over to our little chat with Mitch.
Mitch.
Please let me welcome Mitch Scott of Starting Lineup, Uniforms and Apparel. Mitch, welcome back to the pod, buddy.
Thanks for having me back.
Yeah, no problem. So originally we had you on the pod to talk about your Movember initiative and your custom Movember hockey jerseys. Pats and I, we picked one up, and we literally just raffled one off on the pod for this episode. So we're going to have one of our Twitter followers rocking a Movember jersey, and we wanted to check in and see how it all went.
You know what? It was it went pretty well. When we started the program, we didn't have a whole ton of time before Movember actually started,
right?
To market the product, and really we have a timeline or a time frame in which this has to go. Normally the orders have to be in by in order for them to have it for some time. And we did pretty well. We had I think we had like a dozen team sets or something like that
Nice.
We pushed out. I didn't quite hit the goal of $2,500 donation dollars that we sent or that we had set for ourselves, but because some of them there are some smaller orders. We didn't really have a minimum on there, so but it's still every dollar helps, and I'm really happy with what we did for year one, and I know where we need to do improvement for next year and really make this our main focus come middle of September right through to November. We need to be pushing these Movember jerseys as hard as we can. But no, I was really happy with them. Everyone loved them. The only one issue that we had was something completely out of our control, and that was our good friends at Canada Post not delivering stuff when
Canada Post.
So there's literally still people waiting for them, and it is December.
Right.
So.
Well, that's a bummer, but like you said, it's out of your control, and the main thing is that all of this is going to a good cause, right? Like that's that's what it's all about. So, just your sentiments of talking about how, you might not have hit your goal this year, but every dollar counts, and that you've learned from this situation, and that you're gonna be that much stronger going into next season. And hey, as long as we have the pod going here, when Movember rolls around every year, we'd love to be associated with you and help you out any way we can.
Well, we appreciate all the support. It's greatly appreciated, and I love the pod too. We've been. I was listening on the flight to Slovakia. So.
You were nice. Well, you gotta get Peckham on here too, so we can get some of his juicy tales about you.
Oh well, yeah, we'll get him on. We'll get a few guys on. It'll be good.
No, that'd be great. Yeah, we'll definitely talk off pod about that. But yeah, and as you said, heading over to Europe there, being on the trains, being on the planes. How did the World Ball Hockey Championship go over in Europe for you guys?
It was so we were over there. We had our men's, women's, and masters teams. So we had the masters team. I was coaching and playing on the men's team, obviously, and we finished 4th out of 16 teams for the men's. And I mean, we surprised a lot of people because this is our first time going into the 3-on-3 event, and everyone else had been in previously. And we beat USA, we beat Russia.
No way, that's awesome.
Yeah, and we competed very hard against Slovakia and Czech. Canada, as you guys know, I play for Great Britain. I mentioned that on the last one, but Canada is just so strong. I mean, they won the gold medal game against Slovakia, I think 19-5. Like, it was an absolute blowout. But I mean, I led the tournament in penalties, no big deal.
Yes.
I may or may not have ripped a jersey off of a guy, and I got kicked out of a Masters game from coaching because I let my emotions get the better of me. The guy who couldn't speak English at all.
Bringing the Canadian to Great Britain, I like it.
The Brits don't know what's coming.
No. Well, and man, I saw some of those pictures you posted. You had the stash just a going. It was awesome. And you know what? The Americans loved it. So we actually had an incident that happened. I mean, it gets really rough. So, right. I mean, I tell a lot of stories of how rough it was, but I mean, there's a lot of skill too. But sure.
One of the American guys gave me a real nice spear to the midsection during the game, and he and I got into each other's faces and exchanged a few words. Well, turns out he's a huge beauty, and he and I were having beers 2 days later,
right.
and he shaved a mustache in too right after mine because all the American guys were loving it. I was the only one there at the time who had the mustache, and by week's end, almost every guy in the American team had a mustache going.
No way, starting the trend. Well, let me ask you the real questions. Any mustache rides over there?
Well, with my girlfriend there, I'd love to say that it happened, but I'm just too in. There was so much hockey throughout the day that
you need to
come 7 o'clock after you get some food in you, it's just time for bed.
Yeah.
You can't even get out and do anything. I mean, we had like 2 good nights out or something like that.
Right.
But it was a long 10 days.
Yeah, that's all you needed. You need 1 or 2. Like I have a buddy's wedding coming up, and there's like going to be like a dozen of us high school buddies going down because he's getting married, and there's a bunch of the wives are staying home, and but I'm old now. Like I'm pushing 40, and I need like a good 48 to 72 before I can get back on my feet after a good night out, right? So it's like
I know.
I have it all planned out where night 1 I'm going to get into it. By night 3 is the wedding. I'm getting back into it on night 3, and probably the night before we go back, I'll get back into it. So I'll have 3 good nights out of the week, and then I'll have a couple of days where I hide and nobody sees me for a couple of days.
Well, that's good. That's the way you got to do it.
Yeah, that's the way you got to do it as you get older. So all you kids listening out there, take note. And so when you were over in Europe for the championships there, were you keeping an eye on your St. Louis Blues?
Oh, it's been so frustrating. You have no idea. Well, I mean, if you're a Leaf fan, I guess you have an idea. But
yeah. Unfortunately, but now we're out of it, man. Now we're out of it. And like, are you guys losing for Hughes here? Like, you guys are tied for last with the Kings.
Every St. Louis Blues fan page that I'm on, the trending hashtag is now "Lose for Hughes."
Lose for Hughes,
because we're just so bad now. Petro's out, Fabry's out again.
Yeah, Fabry.
I mean, he wasn't playing too bad either, but it's just unfortunate. I mean, again, I've always stood up for Jay Bouwmeester because I've loved him his whole career, but he's just such a liability out there now. I don't know what it is. He's not putting up points. He's on, the negative end of almost half of every goal or half of the goals that are scored against every game. And he just can't seem to keep up with this new young core of players that's just coming in and lighting up the league.
Well, Pats and I keep talking about your Blues, and we keep saying how Ryan O'Reilly's just a complete cancer in the room, but he's your best player. like he's in Colorado, he gets shipped out.
I don't even know if it's him, to be honest.
No, we're just joking.
I think that there's such a disarray there right now, and they got off to a bad start, and I mean, for the sake of it, everyone in St. Louis is shitting on them right now, and they're the only team playing, and so they're getting all of the, other than like Mizzou college football or something that. They're getting all the media attention in St. Louis right now, and they're just getting shit on.
Well,
so
have you?
I'm glad they changed. They got rid of Mike Yeo, but I mean, go after Quenneville. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah,
make the signing.
I wonder if it's Coach Q's a choice for not being out there, because I thought he was going to be primed for Edmonton too, and he's not there. So I don't know. Apparently, what I've heard anyways is that Quenneville is really looking. He wants to be a part of a contender. Like if he's not going to be a part of a contender, so Edmonton and St. Louis not really lighting it up these days. But one of the rumors that I have heard, and I'm curious to know if you've heard this on any of your Blues boards, is the rumor of Jimmy Howard coming to St. Louis. Would you like that? Yes or no?
I mean, listen, I like Jimmy Howard. I think he's a pretty decent goalie. But I don't know. I just don't know if it's going to make a big difference at this point. Like I said, the goalies, like Jimmy Howard, I put on the same level as Jake Allen. I think they're both good goalies. They're not your A starting goalies, but they're a B or B plus goalie. And unless the defense really starts, to perform a little bit better, there's nothing really there. You can't really bring in a goalie into that situation because you're just going to hurt him. The move that I thought that they should have made was when Carolina put Scott Darling on waivers the other day. I was saying just sign him, just pick him up.
Pick him up.
I know it's a big contract, but I don't know. You got to do something. You got to do something. That wouldn't have cost you much. So
yeah, that's not a bad call. I hadn't even thought about St. Louis maybe being in the running for Darling, but that could have been something. And as you speak of the defense just not being good enough, we've been keeping an eye on Parayko for you with our Parayko watch, and 7 points in 25 games. That's a big no thank you for us.
Is this like the Scott Gomez watch?
Yeah, exactly. Well, we're always talking about Mitchie and Parayko on the pod, so we're keeping an eye on them. Every so often we'll dip back in, but in terms of fantasy wise, Parayko is the best defenseman on the Blues, but he's still not putting up Parayko type numbers for being 25 games in. So he's not. And I think teams have started to figure him out, but I also think he's in a situation too where previous he was able to quarterback the power play, and he was in situations where he had line mates who he was confident playing with forwards that he was confident with that he could make a really solid outlet pass to, or they were giving him the ability to skate up the ice because he had the coverage or he had the support, and something's just not there this year and it's not just him, it's everyone. Like, they're just missing something completely. And I think Parayko is now in a spot where he's just, I need to be back on defense because if I'm out with Jay Bouwmeester, right, it's a liability if he steps up into the play. So I don't think with Parayko, I think it's hard to judge his performance based on, his point total, because I always think it's unfair to judge defensemen by that. For sure. And for fantasy wise, I mean, that's what you're going for. Yeah, no, for sure. And like I was saying too, and in terms of like the fantasy stats that we look at, it is the peripheral stats where we're looking at who's banging and crashing, who's blocking shots, who's logging minutes. Like he's second leading D-man on the team behind Pietrangelo. Like, he's logging over 22 minutes of ice. He's hitting, he's banging. He can go on the penalty kill, he can go on the power play. Like, he's one of those guys that you need on your team, but unfortunately, just the rest of the team isn't going. So,
well, that's exactly it. And when you're out with, other than Pietrangelo, they don't have any other defensemen anymore. Vince Dunn every once in a while will throw up, a game where he gets a couple of points or something like that. But on that back end, you got Bertuzzo, who sort of a healthy scratch every once in a while.
Yeah.
Joel Edmondson, who probably should be their best defenseman right now. And I haven't really noticed a whole lot of him. But again, playing with a guy like Carl Gunnarsson too, whenever he's in the lineup, it's just more defensive minded. And I think they're giving up so much in the offense. They're losing the puck so much in the offensive zone. Just the defense haven't really had that ability to get super involved like they normally have been. They haven't been that possession team that they have been for the last few years.
Well, we're going to be keeping an eye on him, buddy, and you keep tuning into the pod. We're going to keep our Parayko watch coming. So we'll.
Who's this guy on Colorado that I keep hearing about so much?
What's that? Who's that? Sorry.
Playing on a line with oh my God, I can't. His name has slipped my mind right now. The big three in Colorado. They're Gabe Landeskog, McKinnon, and
Rantanen.
Who's Rantanen? I've never even heard of the guy. He's unbelievable.
Yeah, no, he went 10th overall. He was in the McDavid Marner draft. So he went, he went 10th overall. He was a high pick. But yeah, we were talking about him in one of the other pods. Just hey, guys like Dylan Strome and Timo Meier. Like Meier's still good in San Jose, but like Pavel Zacha, these guys all went ahead of him, and
what a draft.
Good on Colorado. Yeah, that was what a draft for sure. But we were talking about just like what they've been doing in Colorado. Like, they got Cale Makar coming. They drafted Tyson Yost, who's starting to kind of find his own way. They got Martin Kaut coming, who's supposed to be a really good dynamic winger as well. So it's like they got some more young guys coming down the pipeline here. So it's going to be really fun to watch them. Yeah, look out is right. Out. So, wow. But yeah, we'll definitely keep in touch over the holiday here, and we're going to be getting into a little World Junior chat coming up in the pod coming up. So definitely tune in for that. Always thrilling. So thanks a lot for coming back on the pod, buddy. We really appreciate it. You're our first two-timer. So let's keep in touch. And
I'd love to be a regular. We'll get into more in-depth hockey conversation next time.
Friend of the show.
I'll get Theo on.
Yeah, friend of the show. Yeah, next time you come on, I'll get Pats, you get Theo, and we'll set it up.
Sounds great, my man.
All right, buddy. Take care.
Okay, thanks.
Well, buddy, that was pretty cool of a friend of the show, Mitchy Scott, to come on and talk about his Blues and his Movember initiative with us. It'll be pretty sweet to have him and Theo Peckham come on and talk a little puck. But for now, why don't we get into our prospect report?
Toronto proud to announce from Zurich, Men's League Switzerland, from U.S. program, Austin Matthews.
All right, last week we discussed each team in the Metro Division's top fantasy prospect. This week we're going to talk about the Atlantic Division. Shall we get right into it?
With my boy?
Your boy.
Starting off?
Yeah, we're going to start off with the Boston Bruins here. Jack Studnicka. He is ranked the top fantasy prospect, not playing in the NHL right now on Dauber Prospects, at a rating of 7.0. Now, last week when we talked about the Metro, the lowest ranked top fantasy skater was Halinder, who you made fun of. Dauber has him ranked the same as Studnicka.
Yeah, no, they're wrong.
Well, I've watched Studnicka a lot this year.
Have you watched Hollander?
No, I haven't.
Okay, then.
I've only been reading reports. But he's also playing with men, which is a different ball game. But I've watched Studnicka a ton this year. I've probably watched him in at least 12 games, and with the Generals and with Team OHL. But for me, it's like kind of the question is like he has all the tools to be an NHL player. Like I don't doubt that he's going to be in the NHL, but for me, it's like what's his ceiling? I could see him being as high as a second line center. ever see him being like a top line player. And even if he is a second line center, to me, I feel like he's going to be more the complementary player.
Right.
Like he's never going to be like that, like absolute stud. Almost like how like Brian Little's playing with Ehlers and Line. Like he can play with elite players,
right?
But I don't ever see him really being elite.
So it's like having Zach Hyman on your line.
Yeah, kind of.
Tavares and Marner each get 60 points, and he gets nothing.
Right, but I see Stanika being a little bit more talented in terms of goal scoring.
Right,
like he's a better touch than Hyman does.
I should think so.
Hyman just got one in off his schnoz. That's how
he doesn't have any finish,
goals, right?
But yeah,
but it's like but I could also see him coming in and just being a checker as well, being a third. I could see him being a third line center as well.
No, that's not going to work for me.
Well, that's what he could be.
It could be. Yeah, that's fine.
But like I thought the same thing of Scott Lawton. I thought Scott Lawton was going to be an absolute beast come the NHL. Like he's an NHL player,
right?
But he's not an absolute stud, especially in fantasy hockey.
He's one of those guys that he's better in real life than he is on your fantasy team.
Right. Where I could see that kind of being like Studnicka as well. So we'll see how his game translates. Like he was an absolute beast in training camp this last year. So I think Studnicka could battle for a center spot. Like it would be a bottom six.
Well, I think for his first year it would be bottom six regardless.
Yeah, but he's one of those guys that just kind of oozes character. He's one of those guys you want on your team. You're going to battle for. He's going to battle for you. And I also wouldn't be surprised if you saw him wear a letter in the NHL. It's just that type of guy. Like you want guys like this on your team. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what his ceiling can be. I think he's like you said, he's probably going to be a better NHL player than he is a fantasy player.
Right.
But he's still going to be a good one to have on your team. Moving over to those Buffalo Sabres, those first place Sabres that nobody saw coming.
Except you.
Well, not first place. I didn't see them doing that, but at the same time. He has a Dauber fantasy rating projected as a 9.0.
Really?
Yeah, which I was actually
Is that a typo? They mean to hit 6?
No. Well, you know what? So I remember in that draft, I was at the draft in Buffalo, and I was asked by a bunch of the Sabre fans who I felt they should take, and I said Sergachev.
Right, I remember that.
Yeah. So I said they should probably take Sergachev. Can you imagine if they had Sergachev on their back end too?
Oh yeah, jeez.
That would be pretty sweet. But Nylander's he's actually having a solid outing this year. He's got 17 points in 19 games. Like that, he's kind of just being sneaky, quiet, good down in the A right now. Like Rochester's been pretty good. They have a lot of guys that are scoring, so you don't really hear too much about Alex. But yeah, 17 goals in 19 games in the
17
A.
points, not goals.
Sorry, 7. Yeah.
I was going to say he'd be up here if he had 17 goals.
Yeah, sorry, 17 points. And like last year, his point per game pace was at 0.53. This year it's at 0.89.
Right.
So that's a nice little jump. That's showing some improvement. And but the way that the Sabres are just carving up the NHL right now, they can just continue to let him sit down there and
you might as well
overdevelop down in Rochester. And when playoff time comes knocking, or if they have an injury, they have this great stud that's like this trade deadline acquisition that they're not giving anything up for.
Right.
And they get this other guy that can come and play in their top 9. Like to me, that's a good little thing to have right now. So
it's kind of like the Leafs signing Nylander.
Our
Nylander.
Oh my gosh! Well,
the good Nylander.
The battle of Buffalo and the QEW rivals in Toronto is just going to get stronger when both the Nylanders get going there too. So you got Matthews versus Eichel, Nylander versus Nylander.
Eichel sucks.
You hate Eichel, eh?
I can't stand his fucking face.
Well, just speaking of Alex Nylander, I can see him coming into the NHL this season at some point, whether it being an injury or just coming trade deadline. As long as he keeps these numbers up, I don't know whether they wouldn't bring him up at some point. That's my 2 cents. You got the Detroit Red Wings. Philip Zadina is also at a 9. And Chris Wassel from Dauber Hockey said, well, he asked us, why isn't this guy already in the NHL?
Right.
So for me, and I guess one of the things that you said too is because Detroit stinks, right? So that's one thing, but also he is the team's worst with a -8 on Grand Rapids this year. So clearly he's got to clean up a bit of his defensive game. The Wings organization, they definitely have time to let Zadina work on its two-way game based on the way that their team is right now. But I would expect Zadina to come into the NHL next year. Like he's currently 5th on Grand Rapids in scoring. He's got 12 points in 20 games, which is respectable.
I suppose.
Well,
it is.
You think about Alex Nylander, who was a high pick too,
right?
And he was not doing this good last year,
right?
Like he was probably even a little under what Zadina's doing this year. So
yeah, but I think at the time, if you like Zadina compared to Nylander, I think in terms of ratings, like going into their draft years, I'm pretty sure that people would have been like, well,
yeah,
Zadina's the guy.
For sure.
Right?
Yeah, no, I agree with that. But I can see him coming in and making the team out of camp next year.
Yeah.
And for fantasy owners, I can see him getting some PP time as well. Like, why wouldn't you put a guy with that type of skill, right?
Exactly.
Moving over to Florida, you got Henrik Borgstrom, has a fantasy rating of 8.8.
I didn't even think they did 0.8s.
I know they do.
That's a typo. It's 8.5.
No. Well, you know what? He was kind of a bit of a letdown this year. The big hope was that he was going to come in and earn a spot and be that third line center in Florida this year, and that didn't happen. Borgstrom was a former 2016 first round pick by the Panthers, taken 23rd overall. So he was sent back to AHL Springfield this year, and he's just under a point per game, which has been pretty awesome. 17 points in 18 games. And he also claimed the AHL Rookie of the Month award in October. In month of October, he played seven games. He had 11 points. So he just kind of came up with a bang. So I was kind of surprised that they didn't bring him up then.
Well, that's what I was thinking too. Like, because Florida's not exactly.
No.
They're kind of in the middle there, around there.
And then when Vinny Trocheck went down, I was like, all right, okay, he's going to get called up.
Jeez.
He still hasn't been called up. So it appears Florida's just determined to be. Just to let him develop and
lose for Hughes,
right? Yeah, they're losing for Hughes, but yeah, I guess they just want him to overdevelop and dominate the AHL, which he's doing a pretty good job of right now. So I would say, just with the way Florida is right now,
yeah, they're literally right in they're 14th overall.
Yeah,
or 14th in hold on, sorry,
in the East,
in the conference. Sorry.
Yeah. So it's like keep them down there for the year and have them come up next year. Jeez, they're losing big. They're going to be in that lottery right pick. So why bring him up into this losing culture? Give him another year, let him get his confidence, and bring him up next year. So that's what I would do. So we'll see what Florida seems to be doing. Like if Trocheck's down like this and they have that open spot in center, they're still not bringing him up. I think the plan is not to bring this guy up.
Right.
Maybe they give him a few games at the end of the season, but that's it.
Right. Well, and to be fair, too, for Florida, I mean, they've only played 24 games.
Right.
And Reimer's in that.
Right, yeah.
So, when Luongo was in and he was healthy, he was lights out. He was completely lights out for them.
Yeah, Bobby was good. But Bobby went down.
And that's all she wrote, folks.
Yeah, moving over to Montreal. Nick Suzuki.
Who cares about Montreal?
Wow.
Fuck them.
You got some people out there that like their Habs.
Whatever.
Nick Suzuki has been given a Dauber fantasy ranking of 8.5. The former 13th overall pick in the 2017 draft is currently in the top 10 in OHL scoring right now with 39 points in 26 games.
He's the guy who came over in the Pacioretty deal, right?
Yeah.
Was it him?
Yeah.
Okay.
And he has great poise and he has a sneaky skill. And I think this will give him an opportunity to be a top 6 skater in the NHL. I've watched him play this year in the OHL, and he didn't jump off the page at me, but at the same time, it was like he did end up sniping a nice goal, and he was always kind of in the mix in the play, and he had great kind of lateral movement. but he his passes were off that game. It wasn't a great game for him, even though he did score a really nice goal. But there was a couple times where some plays just kind of got fumbled up, and there was some bad passing. But overall, from what I have watched from him and some highlights that I've seen, he looks to be a really, really good player.
But the Habs will ruin him anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, well,
so much for that.
Well, if it's up to me, he wouldn't even be on the Habs next year. So if they're smart, they will. Seriously though, if they're smart, like he shouldn't be in the NHL right now, and he shouldn't be in the NHL next year. Like if you're a Suzuki owner and you want the Habs to do right by him, you don't want him in the NHL until 2020, 2021.
Tweet out the Montreal Canadiens. Tweet to them. And tell them.
They should all be listening to the pod.
That too.
And they should listen to what we have to say.
Do you remember though when the draft was in Montreal and they drafted, like, I don't remember when it was, years and years ago, and they drafted Louis LeBlanc with like their 15th overall pick, and the place went fucking bonkers. Yeah. That guy was a piece of shit. And the only reason they drafted him because he was French. Yeah. And they got the ovation and everything they wanted, and the player sucked. Yeah. So anyway.
Yeah, moving on.
Suck it, Montreal.
Moving on to the Ottawa Senators, your other favorite team. Oh, we got, is that Rask and Jimmy Howard wanting to go at it?
Yeah, when was that tonight?
I like that. Yeah, Bertuzzi was trying to ragdoll Marchand. It was good.
Marchand's a fucking donkey.
Well, moving back over to the Ottawa Senators, Philip Gustafson was given a fantasy rating of 8.5. He was a big part of the deal when the Sens moved Brassard over to Pittsburgh.
Right.
So Gustafson was a former second-round pick, selected 55th overall by the Pens in 2016. And after getting in 7 contests with the baby Sens last season, Gustafson's numbers have dropped this year. In his first 13 games of the season, he had a .912 save percentage last year in those 7 games. This year, in his 13 games, his save percentages dipped down to .883.
Jesus. So went to the Cam Talbot School of Goaltending or something right there.
Right, yeah. Yeah, he's been hanging out with Devin Dubnyk. But, Corey Crawford and Andy
Rand, these fucking guys.
He's just been laying into Buzz's girlfriend.
Jesus. Roofie with the Philly steak.
Yeah. But, you know what? Honestly, the kid's 20 years old.
Yeah.
And, netminders, they usually don't come up until they're about 23, 24, 25 anyway. So,
right.
Goalies are fickle. And in terms of, like, fantasy hockey, it's just one of those guys where you just got to keep him on your bench. And you just got to wait. And that you're going to hope that he gets a sniff in the NHL around the 2021-2022 season. Like, to me, that's when, he might be able to come in and kind of make an impact there. So you're going to have to take your time with Philip Gustafson, but he is supposed to be the goalie of the future in Ottawa. So keep him on your bench and just keep an eye on what he's doing in the A.
But he'll probably suck because he's a Senator. So just putting that out there. Okay, wait.
Moving over to Tampa, we got Boris Katchouk.
That's a great name.
At a fantasy ranking of 8.0 based on Dauber prospects. After ripping it up in the Sioux last year, Katchouk found the next step in the program was a lot more difficult. After playing at a point-per-game pace of more than a point-per-game pace at 1.47 in junior, this season the 20-year-old has 5 points in 16 games.
Jesus.
With a -5 rating.
Woof.
So, yeah, exactly. But Tampa, who oozes talent up front, is in no hurry for Katchouk to join the NHL squad. So he has time to adapt to the program and figure out new ways and how he can get away with doing the things he did in junior. And the kid's got a great shot. Like, he's got a rocket. So,
right.
At least he's got that. He's got to start finding himself into the right positions and picking up on the defensive game. And
big save by Freddie right there on the power play.
But with Katchouk, I wouldn't expect for him to get a sniff in the NHL until at least the 2021 season. So there's no real rush for Boris Katchouk. He sounds like he'd be like
Boris Katchouk.
He sounds like he'd be like a villain in like a
sounds
Bond.
like a vampire.
Boris Katchouk.
But not like one of those Twilight vampires. He'd be like a cool vampire.
Are there cool vampires?
Yeah, the ones that actually are like cool.
I don't know, man. Hotel Transylvania.
Get out of here.
Dude, Adam Sandler plays Drac. He's actually pretty funny.
I'll pass on that.
Dude, I'm telling you, anybody listening out there, if you have kids, watch Hotel Transylvania Dos.
And skip Twilight.
Yeah, I've never watched Twilight, so it's not really my thing.
When I was in Montreal a couple weeks ago, that was literally the only thing on TV that was in English.
Right.
So I watched like 10 minutes of it, and I went down to the bar. I'm like, see you later.
Nice,
this is brutal.
Well, let's move over to our Leafers, and we have the Toronto Maple Leafs' top fantasy ranked prospect is defenseman Timothy Liljegren. Liljegren, who Dauber has ranked as an 8.5. Now, you were giving me the gears before this because of my notes.
Well, not so much your notes. I'm sure Liljegren will be a good player, but I think right now, Sandin looks like he might be the better prospect of those guys.
I don't know if I said this on the pod or not, but I know that I've said it out loud. But in training camp this year, I like Sandin a lot more than Liljegren.
Yeah.
I thought he looked better. But anyways, we're just kind of going based off of the Dauber ranked fantasy ranking, where they have Liljegren at 8.5.
Right.
And
I think Sandin's at like a 7 or something.
Yeah.
I can't remember.
Yeah.
I remember looking him up.
But we have, could he be the heir to Jake Gardiner? Could he be Jake Gardiner? They can't sign him next year?
I don't think they can sign Gardiner next year.
Right, I don't think they can either.
Unless he decides to take a contract like he has now.
Right.
Which I don't think he's gonna.
Well,
like, why would he?
Listening to the guys on Sportsnet the other night, they were saying that Brian Burke said that he wouldn't
Fuck Brian Burke.
I knew you were going to say that. But he said he wouldn't be surprised if he could get upward of $7 million.
I think somebody will give him that. Like,
Right.
you know, like a 50-point D-man. Like,
sure. And he's not even on the first power play unit.
No, I know.
You know, and he's still going to get 40 points.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, he's probably going to get somewhere between 6.5 and 7. And the Leafs can't afford that. So what do we need to do? That's why they just keep stockpiling, drafting defensemen with the first overall pick.
Yeah.
That's kind of, I guess, the hope is that somebody's going to be able to come in and do this at a cheap rate, right? So
right. I don't really put much stock into Brian Burke sometimes with what he says. Like tonight before the game, he said that William Nylander is the Leafs' 7th best player.
Right.
And guess who number 6 was?
Jake Gardiner.
Are you fucking nuts, Berkey?
Well, he drafted him.
Fuck that.
And then I think he traded for him.
Oh, so he's got a soft spot for Gardner, so he thinks he's better than Nylander?
He's got the Gardner
Give me
bone.
a break.
Well, I would say that Nylander's number 6.
Who do you...
Freddie.
Tell me, okay. No, skaters. Forget about goalies.
Oh, okay. Well,
let's go skaters, yeah. So, but he's behind Matthews.
Yep.
He's behind Tavares.
Yep.
He's behind
Marner. And Morgan Riley.
I was gonna say, if you said Kadri, I was gonna fucking punch you in the mouth.
No. Come on, man. Come on. Well, let's dip back over to Liljegren here. The sophomore is up to points per game from his first season in the AHL. Last year, he ended on a .39 point per game. And right now he's sitting at a .44, so it's nothing major.
What's Sandin at?
I haven't checked.
Better than that.
Right. Okay.
7 points in 11 games.
There you go.
Stud. It's just because he's my prospect. That's why I'm saying it.
But from reading some reports that it's his Liljegren's defensive strides, the Leafs brass have been most impressive.
Which is fine, and I'm sure that's probably what. That was the knock on him. I mean,
right.
Obviously
he's
got the
offensive defenseman.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But you got to learn how to play in your own end, which I don't think Gardner's really done that yet.
Right.
It's hit or miss with him.
So. Well, for Liljegren, this is the year to continue to gain his confidence and get bigger and stronger, so that he can come into the NHL. And I think that the Leafs are going to give him a real shot to come out of camp and make the team.
They're not going to have a choice because.
Well, yeah, because
of the cap situation that's going to happen.
But yeah, so he's going to have every opportunity. It's going to be his job to lose, in my opinion, for him not to come in. So
and all you guys worrying about the cap problems next year for the Leafs, don't worry about it. It will sort itself out.
You were catching some heat on Twitter for that, eh?
You know what? Fuck off. Like everyone's like, oh, now they can't sign Matthews. Now they can't sign Marner. Even like people on my Facebook are going on about it. I'm like, will you shut up? I'm like, go do the math. I'm like, there's money. There is enough to sign these guys, provided Marner doesn't want $13 million and Austin doesn't want 15.
What did Kathy say? Who's leaving town?
I know. She said Marner.
She said Mitchie's out of here.
She also said Nylander would sign soon, and he didn't sign soon. It took forever. So you know what?
Hopefully she's
forget it.
Not correct. Well, she was right on Matthews.
She can't be right about everything.
She was right. She's been pretty much right on everything. She did say he would sign. So
and she said McElhinney would be the man.
McElhinney's the man.
She called the Leafs up 2-0 while we were
the
at
Leafs
our
were
house.
up 2-0. She called Matthews getting hurt.
Damn it. Okay, I'm going to trade Marner in the pool now. No way.
I'll take him.
No.
Well, let's dip into a couple quick hits around the hockey world about what's happening outside of the NHL that could be somewhat fun and fantasy relevant. We got the youngsters, Mikey McLeod from the New Jersey Devils and Jake Bean of the Carolina Hurricanes. They got into their first NHL games this week. I'm big fans of both of those, especially Mike McLeod.
Seems to have been a long time coming for that guy.
Well, he was a first rounder in 2016, and I love this kid coming up. I just love his skating and his tenacity. Mm-hmm. So for today's NHL, he's definitely the right kind of player. So, I'm just rooting for him. A Canadian kid. He was on the World Juniors. I remember I hated Matthew Joseph that year. Remember when we go to the pub?
Matthew Joseph, yeah.
Because I was like, Matthew Joseph.
And I picked him up. I picked him up right after that, and then I traded him right after.
Yeah.
It was
and
great.
He's actually doing pretty good.
Yeah.
He gets the dirty stats, right? Mm-hmm. But I remember in the watching that, I was like, Matthew Joseph is getting...
Isn't that the guy Lucic sat on?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. Yeah.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
I fucking love that.
But, I felt like he was taking Mikey's minutes. Mikey ended up being kind of more like the 13th forward that year. But
yeah.
I love his skating. And Jake Bean as well was a first rounder by the Canes. So we'll be tracking their progress, but want to give a shout out to them and let others know that they have been called up if you are into those players or have them on your team. And also the Nashville Predators announced today that they're recalling Eli Tolvanen from AHL Milwaukee. Wassel was saying that Tolvanen's like the best player not playing in the NHL right now, so I'm pretty excited to see what he can do with the Preds. Over in the AHL, Corey Conacher is making some noise to come back up into the NHL. He's playing at a 1.92 point.
He's
per
terrible
game
as
pace.
an AHL player.
Well, hey, he's
Remember when he got traded for Ben Bishop?
Yeah. Yeah, I do. Well, wasn't it Conacher in a second?
Doesn't matter what it was. It was Conacher
still.
for Bishop.
Well, the 30-year-old is leading the AHL in scoring with 25 points. So
how old is he?
30.
Oh, I think he's 33.
No. But, hey, good for him.
Okay.
Good for him. Gotta give him a shout-out where, give
so
him
he's
some
a career
credit.
AHLer. Got it.
Well, but he can, he's trying to make some noise to come back up to the show. Got to show him some love. And also in the AHL, you got rookie goaltender Capo Kakinen. I think the Minnesota Wild could use him right now.
Kakinen?
I don't know.
I'm going to count that as a square
Kokinen?
because you said cack.
Kakinen? Kokinen?
5 push-ups.
Dude, he's putting up great numbers. He's only played in 8 games down the A this year, but he has a 1.35 goals against average and a .956 save percentage.
That's pretty solid.
Yeah. Like he was a 4th round pick of the Wild in 2014, so he's coming along. And, the Wild could definitely use some better goaltending these days.
Looks like it.
So I just want to give a shout out to the CAC. The CAC. Over in the...
fuck me. 3-3.
Oh, who was that?
I don't know.
Oh,
Zucker.
Well, he needed one after missing the empty net. What a donkey.
Sucker.
Oh, man. Marner. It was Marner's fault.
Oh, come on.
Look at him. He's moping.
Yeah, well... I love how they do that, eh? They throw the camera on the guy that fucked up.
Right. Yeah.
Here you go.
Yeah.
A whole million people watching this game just know they're fucked up.
Well,
oh, man.
Give a quick shout out to Morgan Frost, the Philadelphia Flyers prospect. He's hit the league lead over in the OHL, and he's sitting at 1.78 points per game. And I would expect that this kid is on the Canadian junior team.
I think he's already... There's like a projected lineup, and he's in there.
Do Do you have that? Can you find that?
I don't have it in front of me or anything. I just remember.
You
I saw it on Twitter.
You look for it while I kind of.
I can't find that shit on Twitter.
Come on, that's exciting. I love that stuff. The 2017 third-round pick of the Vancouver Canucks, Michael DiPietro. From what I've read, anyways, seems to be the front runner to be the goaltender for the Canadian World Junior team. So I'm curious to see what's on that little list that you got going on over there. He's currently has a 2.35 goals against average and 920 save percentage for the Windsor Spitfires this year through 19 games. The London Knights, of the OHL are currently 14-0-1 in their last 15 games. Like, they continue just to clobber people. And also the Ottawa 67s, they have an 18-0-3 record in their last 21. So that kind of smells like it's going to be an OHL final. Those are the two teams tops in the East and the West in the OHL. Over in the Dub, you got Prince Albert just continues to, basically smack everybody around. They're 18-0 in their last 18.
Jesus.
They currently have 129 goals for and only 46 against. So, which is basically, it's a goal differential.
Which is basically obscene.
Well, if you put it into the games played, they're scoring 3.19 more goals per game than the other team that they play.
Jesus.
Like, that's, like they're winning at least 3-0 every game, or, 8-5 or whatever, man. Like, they're just destroying teams. So, a shout out to Prince Albert. And Brett Leeson of those Prince Albert Raiders is a big part of it. He's leading the WHL with 59 points in 26 games. And a lot of people are saying that he's earned his way onto Team Canada.
Right.
Did you end up finding that little thing?
No.
Yeah. Well, I'm curious to see if Brett Leeson's on that list as well.
It's not ringing a bell, so I don't think so.
Goalie Ian Scott of the Prince Albert Raiders as well. Like, obviously, everyone's going to have good numbers there with a record like that.
Fucking Ian Scott.
Dude, he has 21 wins in 22 games. Okay? He's 21-1 this season. And he's got a goals against average of 1.59 and a save percentage of 944. Hashtag Leafs. And a little shout out to the Vegas Golden Knight prospect, Cody Glass. He started to inch his way up into the top goal scoring race in the OHL. Kind of dipping back to the O there for a second. And he's in fourth place in the league with 43 points in 22 games, which is pretty good.
It's not bad. Pick them up in keeper leagues.
Well, and yeah. Well, and I want to give a shout out to the New Jersey Devil prospect too, Ty Smith. He has 34 points in 22 games for Spokane this year, and leading the WHL in defenseman scoring. So that's a pretty big feat, and I'd like to see if he's going to be on that Team Canada roster as well. What else do we got here? There's no major streaks going on over in the Quebec Major Junior League, unless you count St. John, who is awful, and in their last 16, they're 0-16.
Jesus,
yeah,
how does that even happen?
Oh,
that was like that one streak that the Leafs were on. Remember, they were like, they didn't get a point in like, it was like 16 or 17 games or something stupid, like back in the Kessel days, and they were like, nobody could understand how you couldn't even get a fucking overtime loss or a shootout loss in that. It was like, no points.
That's St. John over in the queue, so the teams that go into that barn, they're just licking their chops. They're excited to get in there. You got undrafted Jeremy McKenna leads the queue in scoring with 48 points in 28 games, and he has 161 shots, which I thought was interesting because he's 40 up on the next closest skater in that league taking shots.
So he's a puck hawk?
Yes.
He's a cherry picker?
Yeah, exactly. He likes it in the front and the back.
Wow.
Yeah, that's what a cherry picker is, isn't it?
In the glory hole.
Right in the glory hole. Down in the NCAA, St. Cloud State is ranked number 1 in the nation with an 11-1 record. Adam Fox still leads the NCAA in points per game with 2.13. And some other big notable names are Avs prospect Hale McCarr with 16 points in 12 games, and Sens prospect Josh Norris with 16 points in 13 games. So a shout out to those guys.
Norris will get ruined. He's a senator.
We over in the KHL, Golden Knights prospect.
Oh, nice save by Freddie there.
Nikita Gusev. Are we doing this pod here?
We're watching the game too. We're doing both. Game on.
Over in the K, Golden Knights prospect Nikita Gusev leads the league with 41 points in 33 games. Although I don't think he's coming over anytime soon.
Because Kathy said he wasn't.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I traded him.
I'm like, that name sounds familiar. Oh yeah, Kathy said he's not coming.
Yeah. And two of the goalies that we talked about last week from the Islanders and the Rangers,
Shostorkin and
Sorokin are both still continuing to lead and dominate over in the KHL. So big shout out to the Islanders and the Rangers.
Well, it is the KHL.
Yeah, well, still, man. That's good. That's good. And, dude, that just about does it for this week. So we're going to wrap it out here, and we'll say, as we always do, we here at the Hockey Dummies are strong advocates for mental health awareness. Mental health awareness means recognizing that mental illness is as real as any physical illness. So if you feel depressed, speak up, talk with a friend, and contact your doctor. You can even tweet to us, and we'll always be there for you. Tune in next week, and we'll be getting into each team's top fantasy prospect in the Pacific Division. We'll also be chatting with former Hockey Night in Canada producer and current Olympic and Hockey Night in Canada podcast producer, Sunil Thakalkaran. You can follow Sunny on Twitter at SunnyBoyTV, and next week, you'll find out who's a better slow pitch player, Elliot Friedman or Gord Stellick.
Ooh, I'm gonna have to go with Friedman on that one.
Are you?
Why
So.
I don't know. I feel like he might be a tad more athletic.
Right.
Not that you have to be a super athlete to play slow pitch, because I play slow pitch.
Right.
But still.
Well, don't forget to follow us on Twitter at Hockey Dummies, Facebook and Instagram at The Hockey Dummies, and don't forget to subscribe to the pod.
And just one last thing.
Uh-huh.
William Nylander is still a Toronto Maple Leaf.
He is still a Toronto Maple Leaf.
So life is good in Toronto.
Boom.
Now I'ma say this one time, boy, and that's my word.
We rock the shot to knock fire through the Hindenburg. The contribution is clear. You add water to bone and get the